I'm going to be doing this one a little bit different. So this is Combat Evolved on the PC, which, granted, is not the original Xbox version and probably isn't representative of the original Xbox version, but this is running with an interesting mod that attempts to restore a lot of the broken graphical effects and bug fixes, tweaks to the AI to make them perform a little bit more like the original Xbox version, and just generally it feels a little bit more authentic. So we're running that right now because I do not feel like setting up the original Xbox and recording. I wanna try to play the games not on the MCC when I can. You know, I wanna take a trip through time and play them each individually as they should be played and experienced. But you know, we'll just keep going. It is kind of interesting because on the PC, the cameras and stuff are 60 frames per second. Like, the game is running at 60 frames per second, but all the enemies, and also your first-person animations are running at 30 frames per second, which kind of gives it that Halo 5 look, where everybody kind of looks like a claymation monster that's like jittering and jerking around unnaturally. There is a mod that bumps the animations up to 60 frames, but I do also understand that there are some physics-related bugs and quirks and behavioral problems that come with that Chimera mod. So I'm not running it, you know, I just want to experience the game as it probably should be experienced, just at 60 frames per second and with a keyboard and mouse. So this is, it at least looks kind of like the original Xbox version. I mean, look, there's fog. There isn't fog in the MCC version because it's running off of the PC version, which Gearbox Software kind of did a bad job with. I'm sure Bungie didn't help, but yeah, a lot of stuff was broken in the conversion from Xbox to PC, and it's kind of sad that 343 is kind of sticking with the PC version because it's not indicative of the original Xbox version, and the original Xbox version is kind of going to get lost to time, I feel, because 343 is sticking with Gearbox's port. I don't know, just for the sake of preserving art, I'd like to see 343 go back and like properly update and future-proof the original Xbox version and not just kind of like stick with the PC version, you know? Here's Bungie's game from 2001, and they display the Gearbox software port that has like broken visuals and broken AI patterns and like all this other stuff, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting diving deep down the rabbit hole of the differences between the PC version and the Xbox version. I am actually planning a video on it. I'm talking to someone who knows a lot more about the topic than I do, and he's going to be helping me assemble the video. But how are you guys doing? Well, no, this isn't a stream. You guys can't respond. I've got to fill the dead air. Well, I've been going to the gym lately, and I feel fantastic. I was recently having some medical issues, but that hopefully got sorted out. The people on Twitter know kind of what was up. It's a little bit boring. Well, I guess it's not boring. It's a little bit alarming, but it's probably nothing to worry about, I hope. Basically, some kind of growth was found in my lower intestines, and they cut it out, and they're analyzing it at the lab to make sure that it's not cancerous. But, you know, that's kind of alarming when you're having pain in your lower back, and then they stick a camera down your body and kind of be like, oh yeah, no, there's this weird thing, and we don't know if it's cancerous or not, so we're analyzing it. It's like, oh, that's not, I didn't need to hear that today. But it probably will be nothing, you know, just sometimes that happens in the lower intestines. Dude, the human body's weird. It's like really weird, right? It also sucks, because basically they put me under this new anesthetic that I guess I've never taken before, and it burns. It really burns. Like, usually it's like you put they put the mask on you, and it's like, okay, I'm breathing in the gas, bye. Okay, and then you wake up an hour later. But this time they did it through an IV, and it burned so much. I felt like my veins were on fire. I already hate needles and IVs, but this sucked because I could feel the fluid in my veins, whatever they were pumping me full of, and it burned. It hurt so much. So that was the last thing I felt before kind of falling unconscious, was just an unbelievable burning in my arm and going up my arm and my body. Oh man, I should probably be talking about the level more. What's kind of cool about this mission is that this was kind of like Bungie's best kept secret. There were some magazines where Bungie went a little gung-ho and they kind of revealed Flood in it, but people just assumed that that was part of the Covenant. They didn't know that halfway during the game, just suddenly a second enemy faction was going to be thrust on the player. And kind of in re-evaluating the series, looking back at it, Halo, what really helps Halo shine is that there usually is always a second enemy faction. Like, Halo is at its best when there's a three-way battle between you and the two other factions that are also fighting each other and you. Which is probably, you know, it probably speaks to why some of my least favorite Halo games are, well, I say some of my, actually one of my least favorite Halo games, Reach. It only had one, and that was the Covenant that you fought. So things were kind of very samey. Like, it would have been kind of interesting if you fought against some human looters, or just, excuse me, I just burned. Like, human looters or something. Like, obviously you don't want human enemies because that's super boring and that's not why people play Halo. But, you know, you see some humans holding out against some brutes in the streets of New Alexandria, you go help them out, and then the humans also turn on you because, oh, turns out these guys are looters and they're like taking advantage of the Reach apocalypse. Stuff like that. ODST was pretty good though. Let's talk about this level some more. Dude, remember when Halo kind of looked like this? I guess like technology? Like, this is VHS quality recordings on the Marines. And now the newer Halo games, everything's hologrammy, everything's super high definition, which obviously makes sense realistically. But the way I always interpreted it was, well, this isn't real life, this is the Halo universe. And for some reason within the Halo universe, this is the technological tree. This is how humanity kind of progressed technologically. So it kind of doesn't make sense for you to shove holograms into Halo. I mean, not that you know what I mean. Like this super, super science fiction-y stuff. Because Halo never really was that. It was this. This is what humanity was like at a technological level within Halo's universe. Here's Captain Keyes. He's got his old model. Not the one on the MCC. That's a little bit different. He doesn't look like a Frankenstein monster in this. I remember playing this mission as a kid. Like, I knew about the Flood, but I don't think I fully understood. So when playing this at my friend's house, we actually started on the Silent Cartographer mission when we played co-op together. So one of my first memories of experiencing Combat Evolved was the Silent Cartographer, which is a fantastic opening. But I remember this freaked me out a lot, because I didn't play first-person shooters before Halo, so this was hyper-immersive. And it kind of messed with me. Like, it's freaky, you know? It also didn't help that, so basically, I didn't really understand what the elites were. You know, the elite combat forms. All I saw was like a lumpy, moldy thing, so I was like, oh no, that's weird. There's like gigantic animals alongside the little, like, polyps that are jumping around. But then when I saw the human models, where like the human's neck is broken and its head is just hanging to the right, that's when it was like, oh, what? Like, oh no, they're piloting corpses. And that's when it got really creepy, the Flood. That's when it kind of hit me and it started freaking me out a little bit. I had nightmares about the Flood. I don't know, the human, seeing that neck, like the head kind of hanging to the right, it was just creepy looking. It's really unsettling. I'd love to see the Flood back. Oh no, it's popcorn, they're coming for us. It's kind of cute, you know, seeing this cutscene, because like now obviously it doesn't look as impressive, and it's just kind of like, it's less of like an urgent thing that's happening, and it just kind of looks like a bunch of dudes hanging out, you know, with like a bunch of floodlings running around. But yeah, no, I still appreciate what Bungie was trying to do. It's cute. It's cute. It's fine. You gotta put your head in that mindset of, like, I get it, it's a 2001 shooter. Can't look super cinematic. Which is crazy, seeing as, like, Halo 2 really upped the production value in the cutscenes. Like, people weren't just kind of, like, hanging out. The Flood. Have you guys noticed that, like, Halo has kind of been moving away from the, like, pseudo-Christian, like, themes and stuff? I noticed that. Halo 4 had some of it. Like, in the way Chief was almost, like, kind of talked about as some kind of, like, Jesus Christ figure, you know? Like, he's the amalgamation of what humanity was coming to. And Librarian almost looked like, you know, like an angel or something. But then starting with Halo 5 and then Halo Wars 2, kind of a lot of that went out the window. I miss it. I understand, though, that there's a fine balance between, like, Bungie struck that fine balance where it didn't feel like it was some kind of, like, secret, like, Christian agenda, you know, and I understand that's a fine line to walk. You don't want to make your themes come across as, like, are you preaching to me? Is that what this game is? So I understand the need to play it safe and not come across like you are actually trying to enforce Christian values on your gamers. Yeah, that's... Oh no! It's the elites! They've been taken over by the floodlings. By the tiny men. Have you guys also noticed the way the Flood glow? Like, it's like this creepy, subtle bioluminescence. Yeah, like, see him glowing? You can see him, like, flashing in these, like, weird, inconsistent ways. And it's also kind of creepy, because even on the human combat forms, like, on the PC version, you can kind of, like, freeze the game world, so everything freezes in place, and then you can detach your camera from the character and, like, fly around no-clipping. Well, it's not no-clipping, it is, like, a theater mode. But, it's kind of creepy, because if the human, Flood models, they also have that bioluminescent glow. It's, like, creepy. You can see, like, the spinal cord, the silhouette of the spinal cord, like, not shining, you know, but, like, coming through the skin because of the glow inside the body. And then it's kind of cool to see Halo Wars 2 bring back that glow, because after Halo Combat Evolved, the Flood didn't really glow anymore. With Halo 3, they looked very, like, you know, clay-like, and then in Halo Wars 2, they brought back the glowing. But the glowing seemed to be more isolated to it was used for artistic ways to inform the player on what is a higher ranking unit. Basically, the brighter and the glowier it is, the higher the importance of that Flood unit on the battlefield, which is, you know, good. That's good artistic direction for an RTS, because you're way up in the sky. You've got to kind of be big and over the top to inform the player, because they can't see the details of the units. I like to see the Flood back. I liked 343's take on the Flood with Halo Wars 2. Because, controversially, I don't like when the Flood have a grave mind. Like, I just think it's kind of dumb that the Flood, these, like, horrifying zombies that you can't reason with, you can't control, you can't talk, like, they're being, controlled by, like, a wacky rhyming brain. Like, I don't know, there's just something, like, dumb about it. And so I liked that Halo Wars 2, you never saw a grave mind. And the story kind of stops before there is a grave mind, so it's like, oh man, thank God we stopped the story before things got really dumb, and then the Banished had to fight against a mad, cheesed, rhyming, singing, talking plant. Oh boy, I forgot about this part. This is where the level tends to fall apart, because that was a fantastic introduction, I think we can all agree, to the Flood. But then you get lost, because the level is not very good at telling you where you need to be going. You know? This is kind of like it harkens back to Bungie's days with Marathon. I actually quit Marathon. I'll come back to it, you know? But I got so frustrated, because unlike Doom, which I think has very intuitive level design, it's very easy to find your way in Doom. You know? Like, I don't believe in that, like, oh, it's just because the game's outdated. Like, no. Like, a good game will stand the test of time. Doesn't matter the technology it's using. And Doom, I think, stands up. Like, it holds up. It's really good. Doesn't matter if it looks like it could run on a toaster. It's a good game. Marathon, however, I don't think holds up very well. I don't think the level design in Marathon is great. It's very unintuitive, and it's very easy to get lost, and then before you know it, you've kind of got your map open 24/7, and you're just like, where am I going? This all looks the same. Yeah, and this is kind of like the ghosts, the remnants of Marathon lingering. This kind of like labyrinthian level design where you're just like, oh god, Bungie, come on, where am I going? Could you at least have like the door flashing, you know, like subtly flashing to tell me where I need to go? Okay, I am back where I came. This is not where I want to be. Here, let me focus for a second. Alright, guys, it's serious time. If I remember, I think I mentioned on the previous episode, but in Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary... Oh, I need to activate Light Bridge, that's right. In Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, the assault rifle model, it's just the Halo 3 assault rifle. Just obviously recolored and retextured a little bit. And the Magnum is just the Halo 3 Magnum, and, you know, recolored and retextured. Which is pretty crazy that those models look good enough to where they hold up, because Halo 3 looks very spotty in certain places, like the quality of its models. Artistically, it's gorgeous looking, but some of the models are not aging well. Oh no! Guys, we're trapped. We gotta find another way out. Yeah, it really sucks that the level design is so unintuitive, because it really does kind of take away from the immediate shock of, oh my god, zombies. And then kind of you spend 5 hours here just like running around and being like, come on, where do I go? You know, I mentioned like red glowing doors or something, like something to indicate where you need to go. I bet it's there, and somebody's gonna call me out in the comment section and be like, you idiot. It's right there. I need to get a buddy to play next time. It's very difficult to talk by myself for extended periods of time. I think, no, we can't go there. I do know you do need to kind of like go through one of those doors and it takes you to a different area. Where I think they do a fake out where you kind of think, oh, I'm gonna get out of here via the elevator, and the elevator actually takes you even lower. And so it's like, oh no, this nightmare will never end. Bungie, why are you doing this to me? Okay, let's go this one. Yup, no, this is exactly how I remember 343 Guilty Spark. Being like, so where am I going? And I understand that I'm just running around in circles. Okay, let's try going that way. Because I don't think I went this way. The problem is this looks just like the other door, and I understand now, I see it, yes, that door's not broken down, which is probably a good indicator. I admit that's probably on me. It's crazy that even years from now, I still get lost on this level. Like, I should know better. You guys want to see something super cool. I think it's F7? Look at this. We can screw around with the field of view. I've seen some questions about what field of view is. Like, what is the importance of this? Because, like, it just looks like your arms are longer. It's not that my arms are longer. I mean, they are, but that's just because I'm seeing more of the view model. The, like, okay, see the electric things to my immediate left? The benefits of a field of view scaler is that, look, if I lower the field of view to, like, something like a console, like 80... I can't see the electricity. If that was an enemy, I'd be screwed because I can't see him. Well, if I just bump up my field of view, look, now I can see things to my left. you know, or my right. I can see a little bit more around me. So it's gameplay benefits, you know? Plus also, I think I do like games where they don't, like, keep the gun hugging your screen. Because I do think it looks more natural when the gun is pulled a little bit away from your screen. You know, because in real life you're not hugging a gun to your face, like the Magnum here. See, that's probably a little bit closer to how a person would hold a gun, right? Now let me pull the field of view. Look guys, I'm Halo 5. Look how close I'm holding the Magnum to my face. Okay. Alright, enough jokes. We gotta get out of here. There's zombies. Yeah, see, look, a nice little fake out. It's like, oh no. I also like this, a little bit of environmental storytelling. There's blood all over the place because the flood were just tossing corpses down here. And they were like, you know, flailing and bouncing against the walls as they were coming down the shaft. It's just, you know, it's details. Details probably not everybody picks up on because, you know, they're kind of lost in the aging visuals. Which is kind of, like, sad to consider. Like, could you imagine being a programmer on this game and you add details like that, but as your game gets older and the graphics look worse and worse comparatively to, like, modern games, people don't appreciate those tiny details in your game anymore? Like, they just don't notice them because the whole game kind of looks to them. It's sad. Let's get out of here. Let's skip town, boys. I miss power-ups in the campaigns. I know that they don't really have a place anymore, because, like, your Spartan is already too powerful. You're already able to, like, do everything. You don't need power-ups anymore, which is kind of sad, but I miss that. When it's kind of like, oh god, there's no way I'm going to get through this encounter, and then you happen to find an active camo, and you're like, oh, yes, and you can just sneak past it. Or you get yourself an overshields right before an encounter with hunters. Yeah, I believe this is now where you start to encounter the humans. And it starts to get a little bit freakier because you realize what is going on. And you start to recognize, oh, that, you know, those big guys, they look kind of like elites. Are they elite corpses? Oh no, the flutter zombies. That makes them so much scarier than just little crab things that eat you. Oh no. The shotgun is quite satisfying. I do kind of miss, though, the Combat Evolved Anniversary sound effects, which, yes, is probably going to make people gasp and recoil in horror, but from what I know, the sound effects in Combat Evolved Anniversary, they're just the original sound effects, but they usually overlay, like, a new gun on top of it to give it a little bit more punch. Like, the Magnum in Combat Evolved Anniversary, I believe, is just this original sound effect, but they added, like, another gun underneath it as a layer, so that it sounds a little bit bassier and more modern. I think it sounds fine. I think it sounds great, actually. I think the new assault rifle sounds freaking awesome. Or, not the new assault rifle. I don't like the way it sounds in Halo 5. But I mean the Combat Evolved Anniversary assault rifle. It's my favorite sound effect for the assault rifle. It just sounds like a chainsaw or something, just tearing through everything. We're almost done, guys. We're almost out of here. And then the next level is the library, which sucks, and I am definitely going to grab a friend. I'm not playing that by myself. You can't make me. I don't have enough things to talk about. Come on. Let me through. You dead boys. I feel like the Gravemind is intelligent enough to where it's like, yeah, like, I understand you're like a parasite, and it's probably like just biology. You know, it's not like you couldn't be reasoned with. I understand it's part of your biology. It's just your instinct to want to eat me and consume me. But I feel almost like the Gravemind is smart enough to where it's like, like, dude, let's stop with the war. Like, why don't you just, like, set up a farm? You know? Have some cows, some chickens, a couple million chickens. Just, like, feed yourself that way. Via livestock. I feel like you don't need to wage war on the galaxy, because I think the galaxy is gonna panic and retaliate. Seeing as, like, the Gravemind has now failed twice to take over the galaxy. First off, thanks to the Forerunners blowing themselves up with giant circles in outer space. And then second, because the Gravemind, in his wisdom, sent a majority of his forces to the Ark. And then Master Chief detonated a ring above the Ark. It's like, yeah, maybe that, like, wasn't smart, you know? Probably could have left, probably should have not sent yourself to the Ark. Like, you're a Gravemind, you can happily sit in the Milky Way galaxy and take over that while you're sending some forces over to the Ark. Yeah, the Gravemind needs to take up, like, farming as a lifestyle, like, grow some crops. I assume it can, like, become vegetarian. How does the Gravemind itself consume and eat? Because, like, the Flood, a friend of mine described it very well, where he's like, the Flood are not actually, like, zombies, as a lot of, I mean, they're zombie-like, but, like, that's not, like, necrotic tissue. That's not, like, dead tissue, you know, that they're piloting. It's not a rotting corpse. It's very much healthy tissue. It's just been compromised and turned into Flood biology. It's kind of like the Flood takes you over, and then they rewrite your DNA into Flood DNA. So you're, like, gross looking, and you're all, like, distorted and stuff, but that's because it's a rush job, you know? The Flood quickly needs to assimilate you into a good combat form, so it can make you look pretty. It doesn't really need to. They're parasites. They don't care about looking pretty. So they're not zombies. Like, they're not undead. Their tissue, their skin, their, you know, the biomass is very, very much healthy and alive. It's just Flood now. It's Guilty Sparky's here. Here he is. It's kind of interesting. About, like, the story of Halo Combat Evolved. There kind of wasn't a story. I mean, in terms of development, Halo Combat Evolved kind of went with, oh, we can't ship the original 22 levels we promised. How are we going to narratively give context for why you're jumping from level to level? And then kind of like some of Microsoft's writers jumped in and kind of filled in the gaps, if I remember right. I'll do some research on it so that I can come back next episode and actually give you guys the full story. But Combat Evolved was kind of an accidental success. Like, it had no right to be as good as it was, considering what a, like, weird development it had. I mean, we all know that it started out as an RTS, then became a third-person action shooter, and then transitioned to first-person via Microsoft's mandate. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I'll definitely get into it. But for now, guys, thank you for joining me. This level is over with. I actually hate it more than the library. So, I'll join you guys next time. We'll have some fun stories to tell, and like the video if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys later.